He walked onto a Spanish television set, looked into the camera, and promised the most expensive signing in the history of Real Madrid. 150 million euros, at the very least, for one player. He said it would not be Haaland, not Kane, not anyone from the Premier League. And within the hour, one name was trending across Europe, a Georgian winger in Paris who had just taken the Champions League apart. So why, a month later, is that transfer still nothing more than a rumor? Stay with me, because the answer is stranger than the rumor itself. To understand why this one exploded, start with the man holding the microphone. That was Florentino Pérez, the 79-year-old president of Real Madrid. And he was standing days away from the first contested election the club had held in 20 years. For 2 seasons in a row, Madrid had finished with no La Liga title, no cup, and no Champions League. For a club like this, that is a full-blown crisis. A younger rival named Enrique Riquelme was running against him, promising to bring in Jurgen Klopp and sign Erling Haaland. So Pérez needed a headline of his own, and he needed it fast. He had already lined up Jose Mourinho as his new head coach. He had already agreed deals for the defenders, Ibrahima Konate and Denzel Dumfries. But defenders do not win elections at Real Madrid. He needed a Galáctico. He went on a program called Horizonte and made the members a promise. If he won on Sunday, then on Tuesday he would launch the biggest bid in the club's history. His words were 150 million euros, at least, for a Galáctico. He crossed Haaland off the list by name. He crossed off Kane, Olise and Doku. He said only that the player was young, played for a big Champions League club, and was not English. And that was the spark. Within hours, the guessing game had swallowed the whole of European football. Some pointed at Vitinha, the metronome in PSG's own midfield. Others threw out his teammate João Neves, or the young French winger Désiré Doué. But when you fed those clues into every squad on the continent, one face kept coming back louder than the rest. Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, 25 years old, a left winger, and the captain of Georgia. But forget the passport for a moment, because that is not why his name jumped out. It was the trail of wreckage he had left across 2 of Europe's biggest leagues. In Italy, he dragged Napoli to their first league title in 33 years, and was named the best player in Serie A while doing it. Half the giants of the game circled him, from Liverpool to Barcelona. Then, in January of last year, he stunned everyone by forcing his way out of Napoli mid-season and joining Paris Saint-Germain for a fee reported at around 70 million euros. He took the number 7 shirt that Kylian Mbappe used to wear, and then he became the engine of a team that won back-to-back European crowns. He scored in 1 Champions League final. The next season, he ripped Bayern Munich apart in the semis, scoring twice in a single night, and broke his club's record for goal contributions in 1 European campaign. By the end of the year, he had 19 goals and close to 30 goal contributions in 48 games. Transfermarkt now puts his value at around 140 million euros. So when a president dangles 150 million for a young, non-English Champions League star, you can see why every finger pointed at Paris. Then came the report that turned a guess into a headline. The transfer outlet, TEAM Talk, a mainstream site rather than a top-tier insider, said its sources close to Real Madrid had named Kvaratskhelia as the man being discussed inside the building. According to that report, groundwork had been laid, talks had already happened, and the player himself would reportedly be open to the move. Hold on to that word, reportedly. It is about to do a lot of heavy lifting, because on paper, the fit looked almost too perfect. Kvaratskhelia is left-footed and deadly cutting in from the left touchline. And Real Madrid have spent 2 years agonizing over the man who already owns that exact patch of grass. Vinícius Júnior, their Brazilian star, has roughly a year left on his contract, and still no agreement on a new one. So the Spanish press started saying the quiet part out loud. If Vinícius will not commit, they argued, then Madrid need a world-class replacement lined up before he can leave for nothing. And then fans dug up one more detail. Some time ago, Kvaratskelia's own agent went on a Georgian channel and said the player is a Real Madrid supporter. His line was that the family backs Barcelona, but that Kvara himself loves Real. Put a quote like that next to a president waving 150 million euros, and in people's minds, the rumor quietly became a certainty. There was only one problem with the certainty. It was built on the wrong player. Sunday arrived, and Pérez won the election comfortably, taking 65% of the vote. So the promise was now real, and the whole country waited for Tuesday. The record bid, the mystery Galáctico. And on Tuesday, Real Madrid did precisely what their president had said. They put out an official statement confirming a bid worth 150 million euros. But the name on that statement was not Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. It was Julián Álvarez, the Argentine striker playing for Atletico Madrid on the other side of the same city. Think about that for a second. The mystery signing that half of Europe swore was the PSG winger turned out to be a striker Madrid could almost see from their own stadium. Atletico rejected the offer within hours and pointed straight at his release clause. That clause, by the way, sits at 500 million euros, so 150 was never getting anywhere near it. Barcelona were chasing the very same striker, which only made the whole thing messier. And with that single announcement, the biggest piece of evidence behind the whole Kvaratskhelia story, that record bid, had been spent on somebody else. So where had the real story been hiding all along? This is where the most trusted name in the business comes in. Fabrizio Romano, the top-tier journalist the rest of the industry waits on, had been telling a completely different version from the start. According to Romano, the player Pérez had privately fallen for was not Kvaratskhelia. It was Michael Olise, the winger at Bayern Munich. And even that came with a warning. Romano's own Real Madrid sources said Pérez was, in their word, bluffing, and did not want to name anyone in public before speaking to the selling club. So line the chain up, the most reliable journalist said Olise. The actual bid went to Álvarez, and Kvaratskelia's name was attached to neither of the concrete moves, only to the speculation around them. Now add the biggest obstacle of all. The club that would have to sell has said nothing about selling. PSG's president, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, reportedly has no intention of letting his best attacker leave. The European champions are under no financial pressure to cash in on anyone. And Kvaratskhelia is locked into a contract in Paris until the summer of 2029. That is not a player drifting towards the exit. That is a club that holds every single card and knows it. So is there anything real left in this at all? There is, but it is far thinner than the headlines made it sound. The one route that keeps the story alive is a swap. French outlets like Le Parisien have floated the only scenario PSG might even entertain. Real Madrid send Vinícius Júnior to Paris, and Kvaratskhelia comes the other way. Two of the finest left-wingers alive, traded straight across. That is the kind of deal that would freeze the internet for a week. But right now, it lives almost entirely in the world of if. It only works if Vinícius refuses to renew, if Madrid decide to sell him rather than lose him for free, and if PSG tear up a stance they have repeated for months. That is a very tall stack of ifs. As of early July, that is exactly where things sit. Madrid are watching, not bidding. PSG are listening to nothing. There is even a separate claim, reported by El Nacional, that Kvaratskhelia has private doubts about his role if PSG sign more forwards, but that too is unconfirmed talk, not fact. The strongest hard evidence for this entire saga is an old agent quote and a clever piece of election theater. The Vinícius contract is the real domino. If he signs, the Kvaratskhelia link quietly dies. If he lets his deal run towards 2027, this rumor comes back, louder than ever. So here is the honest verdict. As a done deal this summer, Kvaratskhelia to Real Madrid is unlikely, and the reason is simple. He is under contract until 2029, PSG have no need and no wish to sell, and the record bid everyone pinned on him was actually aimed at Julián Álvarez. It stays alive in just one narrow world, a Vinícius swap, and it turns into a genuine story again. The second Vinícius stops renewing. But as things stand today, this is Spanish and French speculation, not an advanced deal, which takes us right back to that television set and a president who knew exactly what he was doing. Pérez never once said the name Kvaratskhelia. He simply left a €150 million hole in the story and let all of us rush to fill it. If you want to catch the moment this rumor either dies or detonates, watch one thing this summer. Watch whether Vinícius Júnior signs that new contract. The video on your screen breaks his situation down in full. So, tap it now, and I'll see you there.